going to start this morning by reading the 145th Psalm. I will extol you, my God and King, and bless your name forever and ever. Every day I will bless you and praise your name forever and ever. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. One generation shall commend your works to another, and shall declare your mighty acts. On the glorious splendor of your majesty, and on your wondrous works I will meditate. They shall speak of the might of your awesome deeds, and I will declare your greatness. They shall pour forth the fame of your abundant goodness, and shall sing aloud of your righteousness. The Lord is gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. The Lord is good to all, and his mercy is over all that he has made. All your works shall give thanks to you, O Lord, and all your saints shall bless you. They shall speak of the glory of your kingdom and tell of your power, to make known to the children of man your mighty deeds and the glorious splendor of your kingdom. Your kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and your dominion endures throughout all generations. The Lord is faithful in all his words and kind in all of his works. The Lord upholds all who are falling and raises up all who are bowed down. The eyes of all look to you, and you give them their food in due season. You open your hand, you satisfy the desire of every living thing. The Lord is righteous in all his ways, and kind in all his works. The Lord is near to all who call on him, in truth. He fulfills the desire of those who fear him. He hears the cry and saves them. The Lord preserves all who love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth will speak the praise of the Lord, and let all flesh bless his holy name forever and ever.
We're going to have an opening prayer here in just a second. We're here to celebrate Judy today. And I think the best way for us to do that, before I lead this collective prayer, is give everybody about 15 seconds to close your eyes and think about the happiest thoughts you have about your mother, your wife, your sister, your aunt, your friend. So if you would all bow with me now and put those thoughts in your mind. Dear God, we've assembled here this morning to celebrate the life of Judy. She is so dear and so precious to each and every person that's in this room. I know that there are others that would have filled this building to capacity if it were not for work and other situations that they may have. But we've come here to honor a lady that we love so very, very much. Father, our mind is filled with confusion sometimes at this time. We understand that death is an inevitable part of life, and yet at the same time, we always want to hold on to those that we love. So, Father, for that, I ask this morning that you wrap your arms around everyone here, the family especially. Comfort them with your peace that passes understanding. Give them the strength that they need. Give them the great memories to remember, Father. Give them the hope of the life that each and every one of us aspires to. We know this morning, Father, that Judy has reached that summit. We know that her body is no longer hurting. We know that she is at peace in every way, in every form. Father, we thank you so much for giving us the honor of knowing her, just a wonderful, wonderful child of yours. As we ask for blessing moving forward throughout this service, I'd like to just read what is in her obituary, because I think it describes Judy so well. Judy ceaselessly fought the good fight and kept the faith. Her loved ones have no doubt now that her work is done and she is wearing the crown of righteousness, at peace in the presence of her Lord. Father, there is no better place that any one of us could wish to be at some point when our appointed time comes. For now, Father, just continue to ask for strength and peace for those who will miss her. We know the coming days will be tough, and we pray, Father, that you carry everyone through those tough times. Father, we know that you understand death because you gave your Son, and we know how difficult that was, and we pray this prayer in his name. Amen.
All emotions are appropriate. In the next little while, you will hear touching things that will bring a tear to your eye, and it's appropriate to cry. You will hear stories that will warm your heart, and it's appropriate to smile. If you know Judy, you will know that there are some things that are just downright funny, and it's okay to laugh. But it's certainly okay to feel. So Judy Gail Riddle Barbour was a loving, gentle wife, mother, grandmother, sister, and friend. She went to her eternal home with Jesus a week ago yesterday, June the 27th, at the age of 78, right here in her hometown of Jacksonville, Florida. Judy was born on November the 11th, 1944, during World War II in Tennessee. She lived most of her early life in Pensacola, Florida, graduating from Tate High School in 1962. On March the 24th of 1967, she married her sweetheart and next-door neighbor, Bill Barbour, and we'll share a little bit more about that later on. Until the end of her life, Judy was faithfully devoted to her church home, the Mandarin Church of Christ. She taught 2- and 3-year-olds in Sunday school until her deteriorating hearing required that she serve her church in a new way through birthday card ministry. She sent each of us a birthday card on our special day, homemade, just for us. She thought very carefully about each person when she made a card. She captured their gifts and personality so that they would know that they were seen and loved. Just one example of many ways that Judy brought such joy to so many. Judy was predeceased by her parents, Clayton and Frida Riddle, her daughters-in-law, Dale and Irene Barbour. Her in-laws, Dale and Irene Barbour. She is survived by her wonderful husband of 56 years, Bill, her sons, Dale and Doug, her beloved grandchildren, Nash Marie Joy and Davin Roy, all here of Jacksonville, her sisters, Darlene, her husband, Vince, Formica of Mobile, Alabama, Deanna and her husband, Ronnie Overson of Pensacola, Florida, Donna and her husband, Jeff Neely of Pensacola, Florida, also survived by other sister-in-law, Patricia Barbour Duncan and her husband, Michael, and brother-in-law, John Barbour and his wife, Angela of Pensacola, Florida. She also leaves behind many nieces, nephews, cousins, and as you can see, a lot of friends that dearly loved her. As Richard just reflected, Judy indeed fought the good fight. She finished her race. She kept the faith. We rejoice in her crown of righteousness, and we rejoice in her peace in the presence of the Lord. And that's what we're going to sing about right now when we sing It Is Well With My Soul. The words will be projected on the screen. I'd invite you, if you're able, to stand as we sing. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it will first hear from Pat Duncan, then we'll hear from Nash Marie, and then we'll hear from Jeff Neely.
Good morning. We thank you for being here so much. My name is Pat Barbour Duncan. I am Bill's sister and Judy's sister in love. I feel totally a little bit unprepared this morning, but I think we'll just sit here and we'll just have a chat about Judy a little bit. About 1956, the Barbour family moved into a house next door to the Riddle family. The Barbours would end up being a mom and dad and 2 boys and a daughter. And next door were the Riddles, and there were a mom and dad and 4 girls. We all grew up together in and out of each other's houses. You probably could often find Bill in the backyard of the Riddle house playing, I remember ping pong and badminton and croquet. And he would be over there playing with Judy. Bill and Judy liked each other on and off all through junior high and high school. And then there were the rest of us growing up together, and I mean, we were always hanging around, wanting to hang around Bill and Judy, and we probably just bugged them to death. Bill couldn't probably put his best moves forward on Judy with all of us hanging around, and we just loved being around them. But I know we were always just wanting to play what they were playing, and we wanted to turn, and it was just, I don't know. It was a wonderful childhood with all of us, the 4 of them and the 3 of us, and our moms were friends, and we were just absolutely just next door neighbors in and out of each other's home. And just a minute. I'm sorry, just 1/2 of a second. I remember how physically beautiful Judy was. I know you've seen these pictures pop up as we've been visiting one another, and Judy was she was a physically beautiful young woman. But more importantly, oh my goodness, she was so beautiful on the inside. And that as a teenager, she was so kind and so nice and so caring to us little girls who were just wanting to hang around her all the time. We wanted to, well, I guess I think, most little girls find that older girl that they want to hang around, be around. We want to watch them, how they do their hair and how they do their makeup, and we want to hear how they're talking to their friends. And I think really, watching them as little girls is how we learned to grow up and be young women, watching these good influences and these role models that we found in our lives. And for me, Judy was that person. She was that older girl that I always admired her. I was enamored by her. I looked up to her, and truth be known, I was a little jealous of the 3 Ds. I wanted so bad for Judy to be my sister. go, sister. And, I just want to tell you that when Judy got older, or got old enough to move into her own apartment, she moved out of her family home, and she moved into this apartment complex. It was the Lamplighter. And that apartment complex had a swimming pool. And Lord, at the thought of that, or knowing that, man, Judy's star shone for me. What an incredible person. Who got to live with a swimming pool? I just couldn't believe it. And one day, I guess you and Bill were on at that point. She told Bill that he should bring me and my younger brother John to her apartment, and we could go swimming in that pool. And I can remember he did. And Bill was in the pool playing with John, and Judy and her roommate, there was a young woman named Ann, were sitting on the side of the pool. And as per usual, I was trying to hang around them to eavesdrop what they were saying. And I remember specifically Judy saying, when we get married and when we have a baby, and Ann was saying, I think Ann, I remember, was engaged, and when she got married, they were just talking girl stuff. And I remember specifically Judy saying, well, when I get married and if I have a son, I'm going to name him Gregory Allen. Okay, so life goes on, and Judy and Bill, they got married. And eventually they had a son, but they didn't name him Gregory Allen. They named him William Dale, after Bill, and Bill's our dad. So that's a perfectly beautiful name, William Dale. And then life goes on, years go by, and I am going to have a child. And from the very beginning, I said, well, if I have a boy, I'm going to name him Gregory Allen. And sure enough, I had a boy, I had a son, and unfortunately, my son, Gregory Allen, could not be with us here today. But if he were, he would hear for the first time the inspiration of where his name came from. I'm not sure I even liked the name, but Judy did. And that's what mattered, was that Judy liked it, and well, that was good enough for me if Judy liked that name. So, Greg, there you go. That's where your name came from, son. I'm sorry you're having to hear it at your Aunt Judy's funeral. But at the age of 12, when I was 12, Judy became my sister-in-law. And oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I just got a text. So, like I said, when I was 12, Judy became my sister-in-law, and through the years,
Can you read it? So when I was 12, Judy became my sister-in-law, and through the years, she remained the woman that I would admire, I looked up to, and I hoped to emulate. I often failed, but Judy always remained that star that I tried to keep my eyes focused on as the example of the woman, wife, and mother that I hoped to become. At 12 years old, When I was 12 years old, Judy was someone for me to watch and look up to. But as the years went by, and I became 20, and she was 30, and when I was 30, she was 40, the age difference between us evaporated, and I wasn't just Bill's little sister. I became her friend, one of her confidants, a prayer warrior, often a caregiver when illnesses began to come too frequently. Judy and I began as sisters-in-law, but we ended up sisters in every sense of the word. The wish of a little girl desperately wanting a sister for her own came true.
Hi, I'm Jeff Neely. Judy was my aunt, and my Aunt Deanna Overson and my mother Donna Neely have asked me to read some kind words about Judy. So I will start with words written by Deanna. Tribute to my sister, one of my best friends, my confidant, my angel, my prayer warrior, and lastly, my Mama Judy. I always admired and loved my sister Judy. She and Bill celebrated 56 years of marriage March 24th. Wow. What an example for Ronnie and I. Judy was a loving wife to Bill, mother to Dale and Doug, doting grandmother to Nash and Davin, sister to me, Darlene, Donna, and Pat. Judy was an amazing and gifted teacher, teaching those little ones at church as long as I can remember. She had bins of curriculum, stickers, games, etc. that she accumulated over the years. Judy was the best aunt for my girls growing up. We would come visit several times a year, and she would drag out all this fun stuff for my kids. Judy was one of the most creative writers. She could write phenomenal poems. I always told her she could have been a teacher in the school system or a writer for Hallmark. Judy used her God-given talent to his glory. When our mother died, Judy filled that void for me. She was 16 years older, and we'd always been super close. So my sister and Donna and I started calling her Mama Judy. She loved that new title. I would visit with her at least twice a year while on vacation. We always loved shopping together. We would always say, "I wish we lived closer." Judy was a great cook and always wanted to please everyone. She always wanted to cook everyone's favorite. Judy always made me feel loved and special. In recent years, we had fun sleeping together when I would visit. We would laugh and talk. Our sister bond was always strong. We always confided in each other. Judy was my biggest prayer warrior. She would write or text me encouraging words all the time. She always wanted to know how I was feeling. I can't imagine the pain, fatigue, no appetite, loss of weight, etc., that she dealt with through her 5 different cancers. Through it all, she always wanted to know how my back was. I always talked to her weekly, but as her hearing deteriorated, we would text more often. Every morning while we were having coffee, we would text each other. I'm truly going to miss our morning texting. My last 2 visits with her in May and June, I could see a rapid decline in her body. Judy was so tired. Now I know her body is whole and well, and she's not tired anymore. Praise the Lord that we will see her again. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. I know it is well with her soul. I love you forever, Deanna. And now I'll read some words from my mother, Donna. It is difficult to encapsulate 62 years of life with Judy. And you probably do not want to sit here that long, so here are some of the highlights. Judy was 17 when I, Donna, was born. Our sister Deanna was born only 13 months before me, and Darlene was 5 years old. So Judy always felt like Deanna and I were her babies, and Darlene was her little girl. Judy always had a loving, tender servant's heart. She helped raise her younger sisters. When I was 7, Judy had her first child, Dale. Judy was so proud of Dale and very protective of him. She felt that Deanna and I were still too young to hold her precious baby while standing, so we had to sit down with a pillow on our laps in order to hold Dale. Right after Dale was born, her husband was deployed to fighting in Vietnam. Upon his return, Bill completed his college education. Then in 1972, Judy and Bill moved to Jacksonville, where her youngest baby boy, Doug, was born. She was just as proud of Doug as she was of Dale. Judy and Bill waited a very long time for their grandbabies to start coming. When their first grandchild, Nash Marie Joy, was born, Judy was ecstatic and so proud of Nash Marie, and she loved her so. Several years passed, and Judy and Bill got their second reward in the grandparent department. They received a grandson, Davin Roy. They were just as excited and thrilled with the last grandchild. Bill, Dale, Doug, Nash, and Davin, Judy loved you so much. Judy never let our age difference be an issue. For instance, she would go on canoeing adventures, go to water parks, and visit Disney World with her much younger sisters. I'll never forget our planned secret getaway trip to Fairhope, Alabama for our mother to celebrate her 80th birthday. Judy flew in from Jacksonville, bald-headed and all, after going through her chemotherapy after her first cancer diagnosis. We celebrated our mother, just us 4 girls and mother. What a memorable weekend. Judy was so proud that she felt well enough to go on this trip. When we visited Jacksonville, she would cook us the most fabulous meals. Boy, was she a great cook. She had so many cookbooks and recipes. She would send me many of her favorite handwritten recipes, and when I cooked those meals, my family loved them. I would always let her know when I fixed any of her recipes, and it thrilled her. Judy was a very crafty person. She would spend hours in her creative memory books for her children and grandchildren. She would also send her sisters and loved ones beautiful handmade cards in which she would write the sweetest, most thoughtful sentiments. She improved upon those as the years went by. Judy would send handmade with love birthday cards, anniversary cards, and cards just to say, I love you and I was thinking about you. Yes, I saved all of them. Judy was so sick for many weeks before she passed away. My birthday was just a week before she died. She felt terrible from her ailments, but I was important to her. She made me the most beautiful and sentimental card for my birthday. She mailed it on June 12th. I asked her how in the world she felt like making this card for me and mailing it. She told me that she mailed it before she went to the hospital, and that even though she did not feel like making it, it is important that you show love no matter what. For my 40th birthday, she made me the most incredible keepsake box for me with the most prized, thoughtful sentiments inside. Judy loved her small children that she taught in Sunday school. She always wanted to share with me the things that she had made for her classes. She needed a storage shed in her backyard to contain all her supplies for this ministry of hers. Let's take a moment to talk about how much she loved the Lord and how she followed his commands. With Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, he emphasized the humble state of humans and the righteousness of God. Each beatitude in Jesus' sermon depicts the ideal heart condition of a citizen of God's kingdom. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. If you read Matthew chapter 5, verses 3 through 12, you will know that Judy is a citizen of God's kingdom. Proverbs chapter 31, verses 10 through 31 notes, who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Judy was most definitely this Proverbs woman of whom the Bible speaks. Judy lived for many years with cancer, treatments, and eradication, and then recurrence of cancer in other areas of her body. She never complained. She lost most of her hearing and never complained. She was losing the function of her left arm and hand, and she never complained. She was not happy with these things that were happening to her, but she tried to remain positive. I started calling her Mama Judy after our mother passed away. Mama Judy, you left the most positive, indelible impression on my heart and my life. And I will always love you. Until we meet again, so much love and admiration from your broken-hearted baby sister.
Hey friends, I'm Nash Marie, for the ones who don't know, but I have a very strong feeling that just about every single one of you know who I am, because I've been hearing through the grapevine that Grandma was very proud of me, and I think she let everybody know. So what I have to say isn't as long as everyone else's, because when they asked me to speak, my initial reaction was just kind of shocked, stunned a little bit, but I knew deep down that that's something that she would have wanted me to do, so put my big girl pants on and decided to do it. So I opened my phone and I just kind of wrote what I felt, so here we go. I titled it My Final Goodbye. Grief is a weird thing. Just when I thought I was getting the hang of losing someone, I drive up her driveway and it doesn't feel warm or familiar anymore. When I see her hearing aid lying on her dresser, I can see glimpses of her putting it on. When I look at the blue and white lamps in her living room, I can hear the conversation we had about how much she adored them, and I remember the feeling of my jaw dropping when she told me how much she paid for them. When I sit in her chair, I can still feel the way that she would trace my back whenever I would crawl into her lap and ask her to give me a massage. The memories of her are everywhere. You can't really escape them, and grief has a really funny way of making you relive them. Even though you think of those memories fondly, grief adds an extra layer of intensity to it. It makes you feel everything on such a deeper level that even though they're fond memories, they hurt. The intensity of it all hurts. And oddly enough, I appreciate it. I appreciate being able to look back at and relive those memories in the most intense way possible. It reminds me of how human we are. We can become so numb to the world and the things that happen to us, and when grief comes into play, it's a sudden reset. You can finally feel again. And I can look back on the days that she would wrestle me into my tight leotards for dance, and I can smile. I can look back at the times when we'd be in the car and I'd be having a snack that she'd pack me, and she would ask me to give her a piece, and I thought it would be so funny to give her the smallest, most microscopic piece that I could make, and I would give it to her. And when I look back on that, I can laugh, and I mean really laugh, a good hearty laugh. We did a lot of laughing together. That's probably the thing that I remember most, was laughing with her. She used to make me feel like the funniest person on the planet. And even if no one else appreciated my jokes, it didn't matter because I knew that she did. She was one of my biggest supporters. Through bad jokes and all, I knew she would always be in my corner. We had a very special bond from the beginning. I was her first baby girl, and she made it very known in the way that she would spoil me. I like to say that she saw me as a pink ballerina princess, henceforth the dress. She literally turned my dad's old room into my princess pink oasis. She put so much detail into every corner of that room, from the color to the pink and white floral bedding, to the matching curtains, to the whiteboard she bought because she knew I was obsessed with the one in Papa's old office. Every inch of that room was a love letter written to me by her. Every now and then, when I walk past it, I see the former Princess Pink Oasis in all of its glory, and I'll see the countless play dates and sleepovers we would have in that very room. She knew how to make me feel loved, and I was reminded of that every time I would go to her house and I would see that room. Even beyond this life, she is still finding new ways to remind me how much she loves me, and I'm sure some of you are experiencing that too. The reason I know this is because on the day that she left, there was a butterfly sign outside of the hospital room. This was to let anyone walking by know that this person just gained their wings. Now, for the ones who know, the butterfly is already pretty symbolic for me, and seeing it outside her hospital room brought grief, because I knew what it meant, but it also brought an overwhelming sense of peace. I stayed by her side, keeping her hands warm until they came to get her. Before we left, I held her one last time, and I said, "Goodbye, Grandma, I love you," like I always do. And as we walked out of the room, all I could think to myself was, I hope she heard me. I really, really, really hope she could hear me. Then when I got back to her house that night, she left some things for me and Davin. One thing that stood out to me in particular was this small, red, heart-shaped box. When I opened it, there was a gold butterfly pendant. Then when I looked down at the box again, inside were the words, "I love you." She heard me. I know that she heard me. Thank you.
Nash, we all just got to experience why your grandmother absolutely adored you. Thank you to all of you in the family. Judy's sister Darlene shared a few things on Facebook. I'm going to share just a portion of that with you. Darlene says that Judy was my first friend. She babysat me, she loved me, she spoiled me. We danced and we sang together. I grew up with her 60s music. I still enjoy it. We played games together like Rook, Monopoly, and Ping Pong. She taught me her wonderful cooking skills and shared recipes with me. She gave good, sound advice. She was kind, so thoughtful, always sending the most thoughtful cards and gifts. In recent years, she sent handmade cards. In fact, in her illness, she sent me, my other sisters, and our 2 nieces her special handmade cards for Mother's Day. She was fun-loving, and we giggled at the silliest things. She was a wonderful big sister, and though I'm very sad and will miss her tremendously, I'm happy for her eternal home. Judy Gale, I will see you again, my sweet sister. So there are some things about Judy you know, and there are some things about Judy you may not know. You may not know that Judy and Bill first met when Bill was 8 and Judy was 10. Bill looked outside his brand new house and saw a little girl playing, not playing with Barbie dolls, but playing with trucks. And he figured, I'm going to go meet this girl. And so began a relationship that ebbed and flowed off and on for numerous years, all the way through high school. Judy was known to come up with all sorts of games. I don't know how much she liked games, but she knew that Bill liked games, so she liked games. And she came up with all sorts of games like ping pong and badminton and croquet, whatever it took to have Bill over at the house. You heard that Bill and Judy wed in March of 1967, but you probably didn't know that that wedding happened approximately 1 month after Bill's handwritten letter of proposal at the end of basic training. There was no time to hire a photographer, so all their wedding memories are captured on Instamatic cameras that their friends brought to the wedding. And after the wedding, Judy quit her job, she packed up a U-Haul, and she headed to Columbus, Georgia, all so she could see Bill for 1 hour a day while he was stationed at Fort Benning. Early on in their marriage, Bill owned a Dodge Charger. One time Bill had come home, Judy was cleaning out his glove box. She found Bill's orders for deployment to Vietnam. Bill was waiting for the right time to share that with her and with the entire family. Bill had been training in Anniston, Alabama, and 1 week before deployment, Dale came into the world. Within 1 week, Judy was a brand new mom with a husband deployed as a platoon leader in one of the most dangerous places in the entire world. All of us who were blessed by Judy's cards probably don't know that that card writing was born during that time. She wrote her husband twice a week while he was at Vietnam. Somehow they made it to Bill, and every couple of weeks those notes included a goodie box, including homemade brownies. And that meant that Judy was dearly loved not only by Bill, but Judy was dearly loved by the entire platoon. Bill made it safely from Vietnam, and Bill and Judy relocated to Jacksonville in 1972. 6 years later, they moved into their home at 12521 Lamar Shaw Road. They continued raising Dale and then Doug there. They lived there the rest of their married lives. Judy was able to be a stay-at-home mom for her children and also her grandchildren. Her children and grandchildren said she was the best taxi driver ever. You have heard by now that Judy was the oldest of 4 sisters. Her 3 sisters are a good bit younger. You've heard that when their mother died, the sisters started referring to her as Mama Judy, a title that she wore with great pride. She was a wonderful sister. In fact, Darlene's last text from Judy was last Tuesday, the day of her passing. Judy did not even say in the text that she was in the hospital. She just wanted to know how Darlene's family was doing. You may or may not know that Judy could be a prankster. One day, Darlene and Pat were 8 and 10 years old. They were home alone, which was quite rare. They were watching TV. It was getting somewhat close to nighttime. And all of a sudden, they started hearing these loud scratching noises on the windows. And they started seeing the front door jiggling up and down and up and down. And they were absolutely terrified. Judy the prankster and Bill thought it was absolutely hilarious. Doug says that she was the best person he ever knew, like a best friend. Her family says she was caring, loving, and faithful. You have heard over the last few moments that she fought cancer 5 different times. And through it all, she never faltered, always being faithful to who she was. So even though she was strikingly beautiful inside and out, she was a tough lady. You may or may not know that Judy was part of Bible Study Fellowship for many years. She started attending the Mandarin Church of Christ in 2000, and although Judy was baptized as a teenager, she made the decision to be rebaptized on May the 30th, 2000. And from those moments in 2000 up to last Tuesday, she touched innumerable lives in this family. And a few of those folks have shared a brief sentence or two with me. Charles and Janice Oliver say, "We're going to miss you, Judy, from your beautiful gift cards, all the things that we received while Brother Charles was experiencing his surgeries. Thanks so much for the encouragement and support." Tom and Jill McTighe said, "Judy's beautiful handmade cards were so encouraging. She lifted our spirits not only with her cards, but when she saw you in person. She had a way of making you feel better and showing that she genuinely cared. She always showed that she loved God and put her trust in Him." Kathy Melton shared this, "I have fond memories of Judy's ability and talent in working with children. She had the best crafts for them to do, and she was always so patient in her teaching abilities. I know the children loved her, and she absolutely loved them. She asked me to sit in her class and to be her ears because she couldn't always hear them, and she still wanted to teach them." Tracy Flake said, "Miss Judy's cheerful greetings in person
and her creative birthday cards to my children are, and me, our sister Judy's stamp on my heart. Kim Zink shared, I met Judy helping her teach Marissa and Abigail in Sunday school. She had the best crafts for the students. I learned so much from watching her teach. Kim is now one of our teachers. She would send me birthday gift cards and send my girls birthday gift cards that she made. They always had a coloring sheet attached. And the girls loved receiving mail from Miss Judy.
Judy shared a very special relationship with Betty Carroll. And Betty penned these reflections about her friend. Betty says, I was blessed to become Judy Barbour's friend in May of 2000. Together we taught 3- and 4-year-olds in Sunday school for 11 years. When I was forced to retire from teaching the class due to medical issues, Judy continued on until 2017 when she began round 2 of cancer. Judy loved the children in her classes and they dearly loved her. When I became concerned about her hearing loss, she replied she was going to continue with the class as long as possible because she said being with those children on Sunday morning was her bright spot of the week. And even when she was going through chemo for the first time, she insisted on continuing to prepare the materials for the children's take-home projects. For 23 years, our friendship grew stronger and stronger and became a treasure to both of us. Judy was a wonderful example to me of a true Christian. Even with all her many serious health struggles, she remained faithful to the Lord, a faithful wife and mother, a faithful, loyal, and reliable friend to me. We felt comforted when we were with one another. We shared our deepest heartaches and joys, and we voiced our love for each other. We sat beside each other in worship for 23 years. Because Judy felt comfortable asking me who had requested prayer. She always wanted to know so that she could pray and, of course, make a card for them. Everyone loved getting those cards from Judy. They were the best. Today, this would have been a couple of days ago, 2 or 3 days ago. Betty says, I discovered a card Judy sent me for my birthday 2 years ago. Inside the card, she had glued a copy of the poem, Why Friendship is So Special. And below the poem she wrote, Betty, this poem is so us. Betty says, I will treasure this card forever. For Judy is now free from all pain and sickness and will not have to deal with the effects of chemo or the latest cancer diagnosis. And I am so happy for that. But there will forever be an ache in my heart for the loss of my sweet sister. I will feel her sitting beside me during worship for a long, long time. Galatians 6:2 says, carry each other's burdens. In this way you will fulfill the law of Christ. It was my pleasure to get to know Judy in the summer of 2018. She had already endured a couple of rounds of cancer. By then she was wearing a cochlear implant. Like many of you, one of the first things she shared with me when she saw me sing and preach the same Sunday was how much she loved to sing and how much she missed being able to hear the way she used to be able to hear music. One of the most poignant memories of Judy for me is Tuesday morning prayer time. Because on Tuesday mornings, especially before COVID, when she could join us, we had a circle of about 10 or so more mature members of this church who gathered and prayed fervently for this church and for this community. And I want you to know how fervently Judy prayed for you. I am looking at so many people right now that I heard Judy pray for by name. And let me tell you something, if you were prayed for by Judy Barbour, my friend, you were covered. Man, what a heart she poured out to God in prayer. And in all those prayers, it was so clear how much she loved you, Bill, and how much she loved you, Doug and Dale, and how much she loved you, Davin and Nash, and how much she loved her sisters, and how much she loved her Mandarin family. Judy's love for God was rooted in her favorite Bible passage. The Old Testament prophet Zephaniah paints a powerful word portrait much like Judy did a lot of times with her cards. And Zephaniah's portrait is this incredible contrast between sinful humanity and an amazing, perfect God who just loves his children in spite of their sin. And Zephaniah's narrative moves toward these climactic words in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 17. And these are words that Judy just loves so much. The Lord your God is with you, the mighty warrior who saves. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but he will rejoice over you with singing. And Judy spent her entire life trying to imitate that love. The most important thing we can say about Judy right now is that she was a follower of Jesus Christ. Judy believed in Jesus. She trusted in Jesus. Judy was baptized to have her sins washed away. Judy spent her life serving the King of Kings. And quite honestly, that is the only thing that makes today bearable. We know that Judy endured great physical difficulty the past few years. Cancer was absolutely brutal. Hearing loss was very challenging. And these last few weeks, pneumonia was incredibly cruel. And even though she suffered a lot, and even though a lot of us knew she was suffering a lot, the actual timing of her passing, quite honestly, caught a lot of us off guard. I spent Tuesday morning with her and had no expectation of the call I was to receive Tuesday afternoon. And I don't believe I'm exaggerating in saying that 2 weeks ago, none of us imagined we were going to be in this room on this day for this reason. Her death hurts. And we should not apologize or minimize the fact that her passing hurts. But in the midst of that grief, we can find great comfort. We find great comfort in a legacy of a life wonderfully lived. We find comfort in a legacy of numerous children over 2 decades taught about Jesus. We find comfort in the legacy of a faithful wife and a faithful mother. We find great comfort in a legacy that includes every person in this room and so many more. Revelation 14:13, a voice from heaven says to John, "Write this, blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they will rest from their labor." I think Judy is deserving of some rest. Their deeds will follow them, and Judy's deeds certainly will follow her. We find great comfort in Judy's legacy, and we find great comfort in Judy's new reality. The writer of the 116th Psalm says, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints." And this day is certainly not precious in our eyes, but it's wonderfully precious in God's eyes. And today's occasion is precious also because Judy's health concerns are now gone. Today, Judy's body is completely free of cancer. Today, her body functioning is immaculate. Today, her breathing is free, easy, and uninterrupted. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, Paul says, "We know that when these